Hey, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We have some special guests that are coming on today. We have Mickey Willis. He'll be talking about, I think it's film festival that's in Malibu Film Festival. And then we have Jose Vega, friend of the show, running for office. Woo woo. And then Haz Al-Din will be on as well. Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
A lot of motherfuckers on today.
A lot of motherfuckers. Okay. Oh, ready?
Okay, back to Jimmy. Me. So I don't know if you remember when I had Cornel West on, and I implored him because I was shut out of the Cornel West campaign. Cornel West was always on my show whenever I wanted him. He would return my texts and my emails. Same thing with Jill Stein. They couldn't have been happier to come on my show and talk to me and text me and DM me. And then all of a sudden, when Cornel announced he was running for president, that all ended. I haven't heard from Jill Stein since. I haven't heard from Cornel West. You know, I had to twist his arm so hard to get him to come on the show. So when he came on the show, I knew this was my one chance to try to talk to him and convince him that he was having a horrible campaign. And he does have a horrible campaign, and now everybody agrees. And because his message was Joe Biden is the lesser of two evil, which sounds like he's co-opted by the Democratic Party. That's because when you say that Joe Biden is the lesser of two evil against Donald Trump, you are campaigning for Donald Trump. And that's what I tried to tell him. And the reason why I'm going to show you this is because he did a campaign stop. He did a rally, if that's what you want to call it, in Harlem, and nobody showed up. Well, watch this. We agree on almost everything except the message of your campaign, right? That's the only thing. I would hope it would become even more focal. Well, let me just put it this way.
But are you suggesting that the message should be that Biden is a greater fascist than Trump? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that you should talk about fascism or any of that stuff. I think you should.
No, fascism is very real. I think you don't think fascism is real in the country?
We're living in it. We're living in fascism.
But I'm talking about escalating in terms of intensity.
It has since Biden became president. It certainly has escalated in intensity. So that's him trying to push the bullshit line that somehow Trump's a bigger fascist and fascism's going to come if Trump gets elected. And I had to explain to him, no, even though you didn't notice it because you live in an ivory tower for the last 45 fucking years and you don't have any connection to actual workers, Cornel West, that we are living in fascism. And workers got forced to take experimental medical treatments. Workers got fired, but by the tens and hundreds of thousands across this country. Workers that you didn't have shit to say about. So this is just a guy being completely out of touch, ivory tower. And I was trying to impress upon him, this is a losing strategy. Your message is a loser, and you see him pushing back like a moron. They've censored everybody. They've crushed unions. They've started another war, and now they're saber rattling with 2 nuclear powers. I don't know how worse it could get. And by the way, he still hasn't let people out of prison. He still hasn't given student loan. He's still denying us health care. He's an enemy of the worker and a tool of military-industrial complex in Wall Street. There's no bigger fascist in the country than Joe Biden. The reason why black and brown people are locked up again isn't because of Trump. It's because of brother Biden. And Joe Biden is proud of that. He brags about that. He brags about the crime bill, and he will never apologize for it. So I'm just letting you know that I really want your campaign to pick up traction. This is the opposite way to do it. And it turns out I was right.
Well, he didn't want his campaign to pick up traction.
That's the thing people don't realize. He didn't want his campaign to pick up traction. And well, here, I'll show you one more. Joe Biden is responsible for the mass incarceration, not Donald Trump. Who is more responsible for black and brown people being locked up and America being the largest penal colony in the world? Is it Donald Trump or would it be Joe Biden? By the way, this conversation is a loser for your campaign. Sitting there trying to argue that Joe Biden is a lesser evil than Donald Trump is a losing argument for his campaign. That's what I was telling him, and he was enjoying this. And well, watch what he says.
The argument. It could be a loser for you too, though.
Yeah, it's not a loser for me. My show's more popular. I've added 100,000 new subscribers to my show since we did this interview. Not you. Okay. Trying to make the argument.
No, but you trying to make the case that somehow the Democrats are more fascist than the Republicans. The fascism cuts across the board.
But that's not how you say it, though. You say it's only Donald Trump. You don't say it cuts across the board. You call Joe Biden milquetoast, and you call Donald Trump a fascist. So you're not saying Joe Biden is a fascist, really?
I said there's fascist dimensions to the Biden project. You're absolutely right.
It's like you're campaigning for Joe Biden almost when you're doing this. That's what it sounds like.
Ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
But that's what I'm not saying you are doing that. I'm saying that's what it sounds like.
What it sounds like to you. That's what it sounds like to you. And you got a right to be wrong. You got a right to be right. It sounds like to you. But it doesn't sound like that to a whole host of others at all, though, brother. Not at all.
All right. Again. Okay, it turns out it does sound like that because Russell Dobler went in Harlem. Harlem. He was doing a campaign rally. You could hardly call this a rally. This is more of a campaign coffee clutch without the coffee, and no one showed up. So Russell Dobler went to this yesterday, and here's how it started. Here's how it started. There's. You want to see? How's that crowd doing? Let's see that crowd. How's that crowd going? How's that crowd? Now,
you pay some black people to show up,
couldn't you? Right, and half of them are white. And let me just say, the last time I had a rally in New York City, 1,000 people showed up to see me, and I charged them. It wasn't free. This is free. He couldn't get a handful. He couldn't get anybody to show up in Harlem. And that's what I tried to tell you. That's why when he brought on Peter Dow, I knew he was infiltrated, and he hated it that I outed him for working with an infiltrator, and his campaign wasn't really about running for president. This is the result. Remember, he said, oh, you could be wrong, Jimmy Dore. I wasn't wrong.
He said you could be right or wrong, and some other thing that didn't.
And he said nobody. And he said nobody else hears it like I hear it. Apparently, everybody heard it like I heard it. When you're running a third-party campaign and you tell everybody that the Democrat isn't as bad as the Republican, there's no point for you to run for president. And this is the result. Nobody showed up. And that people were like, why were you so hard on Cornel? Because this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a third-party candidate. And I agree with most of Cornel's policies. And he was shooting himself in the foot before he got out of bed, and then shooting himself in the head, and shooting himself in the dick, and shooting himself everywhere else. And this is the result. And he didn't want anything to do with me. Wouldn't talk to me for months. And so that's why I smelled a rat. And I knew there was something up with his campaign, and he wasn't really running for president, and he's not really running for president. And I think everybody, even the morons over at The Intercept and Broken Points, even they admit it now. Yeah. Cornel West isn't really running for president.
Who asked you why you were hard on him in recent memory?
Everybody.
What?
Everybody. Everybody.
I thought everybody was like...
Everybody was angry. Not everybody, but there was a lot of people who were upset with me. They thought I treated him roughly. I'm like, I knew this was the one chance I was going to get to talk to him, and I couldn't sit there and listen to his fucking bullshit. And so I was literally trying to help him. And Cornel West, his presidential campaign has revealed every crack in his personality. He can't be critiqued from the left, and if you do, he smears you as a racist. He called the guys at RBN that they're on the Jimmy Dore plantation, which is talk about punching down and smearing young black activists. People are actually in the street doing something, not running around running a fake campaign like him and living in ivory towers. So that's the result. This is the result of his stupid campaign on purpose. This is the result of not taking advice from people like me or even listening to me. And then when I gave him that advice, he called me a Trumper. And here's how he ended. And here's the end. By the way, his stump speech. He barely talked for 30 minutes.
Wait, he's still running? I thought he quit.
No, this was.
He just had a rally.
Dude, this is 2 days
still going on.
This is 2 days ago at a rally in Harlem. And so here's the end. Here's how it ended. You think a bigger crowd showed up? No, that's the crowd. Pan out. That's the crowd.
I'm surprised they don't have masks on a lot of them.
That's the crowd.
Wait, was there a mask?
Or the lack thereof. That's it. That's in fucking Harlem. And that's when I said, the dirty secret about Cornel West is he doesn't appeal to black people. All his talk of white supremacy and his trans brothers and sisters and his LGBTQ, he leads with all that shit, and that is not how you organize workers. That is not how you organize workers. And he doesn't know the first fucking thing about it. And he didn't want to hear it. And when people critiqued him, he slandered us. He slandered us. He slandered RBN. He slandered me.
What are you going to do? Try to get him elected? The guy's trying to pay off his back child support.
That's right.
What, are you going to ruin his life? He owes child support. He's not going to jail. He's trying to get a sweet Michael
And he never had an answer for any of that. He never had an answer for how you become $500,000 in debt to the IRS. You didn't pay $500,000 in taxes? Anyway, and I don't care about his personal life with his child support, but he never had an answer for it either. And I'm not coming down. I'm not attacking the brother. I'm just telling the truth. I'm just telling the truth. And that's the result of Cornel West being an out-of-touch Ivy Leaguer. And he's not running for president. And so what a scam he's pulling on those people that he's asking for donations from. Because that's what that is.
The Ivy League was never your friend. It was never.
And there it is. So you want to see the result again? This is, by the way, he's only spoke for 30 minutes.
No,
he went to Harlem. I saw Bernie Sanders give a stump speech in 2016 in Santa Monica. You know how long he talked? He talked for at least an hour and 15 minutes. Almost 3 times as long as Cornel spoke in Harlem. And this is the result. This is the result. That's the crowd. That's the crowd. That's it. Handful of people show up to hear him in Harlem. In Harlem. Yeah, that's not in Orange County. That's not in Wilmington, Delaware. That's in Harlem, New York City.
So this crowd is like, they're going to vote for him and then go for Biden at the end or something. They're going to like, I guess we got to go with Biden. They're going to. That's what that crowd is. We don't like it, but we're going to end up going with Biden.
Show it again. This is his. This was at the beginning of the rally. This is the beginning of the rally.
My God, I've seen more excited Ukrainian troops going off to the front line
in Harlem. This is his rally in Harlem.
Is he from Harlem?
I don't know where he's from, but I'm saying he's a black guy running for president, doing a presidential rally, campaign rally in Harlem. And that's his turnout. And now do you understand why I was frustrated with him? Now do people get it? Because I knew that was my one chance to talk to him. And I knew he was running a bullshit campaign. And I was trying to knock him over the head to wake him up. And he still doesn't give a shit about the hundreds of thousands of workers. The 41% of black-owned businesses that were shuttered permanently during COVID. He still doesn't give a shit. Never mentions it, never brings it up. And he can't stop saying, it turns my stomach to hear him talk about how he stands with workers. The time came for you to stand with workers, and you didn't. You do it when it's easy. When it was hard, you turned your fucking head and you pretended you didn't see it. And shame on you for that. And this is the result of that. Imagine all the workers who would have been there had you stood up for them when they were being forced to take an experimental medical treatment with no long-term studies. Imagine that. Imagine if you stood with the people who were just injured by that. Imagine all the people who are injured by that. If you actually stood up for them, you won't stand up. You won't say a fucking thing about it. Fascism came to America, Cornell. It happened. It got implemented. 41% of black-owned businesses shuttered permanently. Hundreds of thousands of workers fired. And you didn't say dick about it. And you're pretending that Trump is and January 6th. He's like a propaganda machine now. He's the opposite of what he's supposed to be. Shame on you. Shame on you over stuff.
All right, Jimmy, we're going to go ahead and go to a card to get ready to bring on Willis.
Okay.
All right.
me tell you. If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle 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 digga digga diddle diddle dum, all day long I'd diddle little bums. If I were a Shmuley man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish Shmuley man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
At this time, more than any other time, you know, revolution is necessary. It is necessary. Not only based on what has happened with the MOVE organization, you know, the babies that have been murdered, you know, MOVE adults that have been murdered, bombs being dropped on us, but past that to what is happening with all black people, so-called minority people, you know, money poor people. You know, this government, as has been said earlier, has waged war on us. But you know, something about us, particularly here in America, we don't really understand that. You know, we don't really know what war is. You know, for black people, for poor people, that people see as good, that they wasn't forced to do, that they didn't do to try to keep black people appeased, you know, and calm down so that black people wouldn't riot. A prison situation is a crystallized example of that. You can make phone calls in prison. They have movies in prison, but they don't have those things because they just want to be nice to prisoners. They have those things because they know damn well if they don't have, you know, people being able to contact their family, if they don't have, you know, facilities for people to sit there and watch movies, people are going to be frustrated, upset, and they're going to direct that frustration at them prison administrators, and they're going to have riots on their hands. You know, they're going to have people in them prisons turning them prisons out. That's why they have movies. That's why they have access to phones the way they do. And a stop to it when we don't like it, or encouraging it when it's something that's in our interest. You know, we have to call the shots. The people have to take the reins of this system and start dictating, you know, what we need, what needs to be done. And, you know, taking the initiative to do it ourselves. We can't rely on this system. I mean, you know, don't people see what's happening? Every single confrontation that MOVE people have been involved in, every single issue, you know, oppression, economic issues, every single issue facing our people, you know, is something that can be dealt with very, very simply. All people got to do is make their wishes known. All people have to do is stand up and say, listen, we're not accepting that. Unity is the key. Unity is the key to revolution. Revolution ain't nothing to be afraid of. It ain't nothing to shy away from. Revolution, contrary to what officials, you know, this system and those backing the officials running this system, you know, want people to believe that revolution means violence, you know, means blood in the street. I'm saying it can get to that point, but it don't have to be violent. You know, when people come together and take a strong stand on an issue, this government don't have no choice but to listen. Where you think they get their authority from? They don't have no power, but they do have authority to do certain things. Where you think they get it from? They get it from us, from the people. You know, they get it from us accepting the things that they do to be done to stop it. Then you have some people who want to then turn around and say, yeah, well, you know, it's the best we have, and want to make excuses. The time for excuses is over. It's over. You know, every man, woman, and child has to be involved in this revolution. Not only has to be, but is, whether you want to be or not. I mean, our babies gave their lives for this revolution on May 13th. You know, men, women, and children were murdered. And not just move babies, you know. What about all of the young men, women, you know, children 8, 9 years old shot down on the street by cops, you know, by drug pushers? I mean, you know, where do you think that mentality comes from? It comes from this system, from the mentality of this system of getting over, you know, making a quick buck, you know. I'm saying that's where that needs to be done to stop it. Then, you know, what I want people to really, really understand is that it's past time. It is past time for poor people, black people, you know, to realize that this system has failed you. It has failed you. You can't get nothing from it. And what people got to do is withdraw our support from it and start doing for ourselves. That's what we got to do. You know, how long are people going to sit back and beg, you know, this government to do what's right when for hundreds of years all you've gotten is a slap in the face? All you've gotten is this government kicking your ass. That's all. That's all black people have ever gotten from this government.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletter. Just visit